I'm looking at the forecast for Auburn, Arkansas. Not the prediction, mind you, just the weather forecast. We're looking at steady rain, breezy conditions, temps mid-50s, low to mid-50s at kickoff, which is an 11 a.m. kickoff, which we all know treats Auburn very well historically in Northwest Arkansas. So I'm looking at this. We got Arkansas favored by 1.5, 2.5 now. Lines moved even as you picked up the phone. We got all the talk around Hugh Freeze. Bobby Petrino needs the signature win. I don't know how you feel about Petrino in that job. If I had to guess today, I think he may end up getting the job, but I know the rest of the season will go a long way in determining that. So let me fill you out here. Let's just basically treat this as a game prediction. First thing you're paying attention to, Auburn, Arkansas.
It's Taylor Green because he's a takeover player. He can completely take this game over. Auburn did not tackle him well a year ago in Jordan-Hare Stadium. Didn't even really get close to him. And when he decided to leave the pocket, he didn't just turn it into minimal gains. He turned it into big gains and explosive plays. So this Auburn defense seems to be a little more disciplined up front. They seem to have a little more disruptive capabilities. But with that in mind, are you going to be disciplined with how you attack the pocket? Texas A&M didn't do that last week, and I think they're better at getting to the quarterback than this Auburn defense is. And they allowed Taylor Green to leave the pocket and be a dominant runner. And then when they had to alter some things, that allowed him to be able to work them over in the passing game as well. So you have to sit back and wonder, Josh, is this Auburn defense on the brink of just not having a performance anywhere near what it's been the last 5-6 weeks? You wonder if that letdown performance is coming. And if that's the case, how much of the slack can the offense really pick up? Based on what we've seen, there shouldn't be a lot of confidence that they're going to be able to go out and put up 450, 435 yards in a game. Now, this Arkansas defense would be the one that you would believe probably could do that. And if Cam Ball's not in there in the middle of this Arkansas defense, they've got issues at D tackle anyway. Maybe Auburn can control this game. If the weather's going to be what you say, it might be more advantageous to try to just live on the ground, utilize more quarterback run with Jackson Arnold if he is the guy for 4 quarters. We got the memo last week from Hugh Freeze that he might not be the guy for 4 quarters. And if 2 or 3 series were to go the wrong way, we were going to see Ashton Daniels in that football game. They loved the way that he practiced, loved how he's carried himself. And Hugh Freeze had essentially told us that Jackson Arnold is not doing the things that he's capable of doing in our offense that we ask him to do. And if that continues, he's not going to be our quarterback. So those would be the first things that come to mind specifically with this game that I'm interested in seeing.
I'd be really surprised if we didn't see multiple quarterbacks. Let's go over under 1.5 quarterbacks there for Auburn. I'll take the over. Surely they find 28 offensive points somewhere here. This is my thinking. I'm not asking you. I'm saying surely in my mind, with the defensive numbers we just put on the screen there from Arkansas, if it's going to happen, I mean, if we're going to have a moment where it's not an explosion, but just offense clicks a little more, you find first down a little bit more, you fall forward a little bit more, you break a few more long runs. If I'm facing someone 121 against the run, 115 against the pass, I got to find something. I don't really care which quarterback I got to put in to do it, but the reason why what you just said stood out so much to me is everything Auburn's been so far. They're not the only one in the league like this. Texas is like this. LSU's like this. Everything about their offensive profile, a lot of it sucks, but they still know they can rely on defense to keep them in games. And so they know, hey, man, we scored 20. It may be good enough. And you got to ask what you just asked. Do you just get to think that way all year, 12 weeks, or is there a period week 7, week 8, week 9 where there's not enough gas left in the tank defensively? You can't keep screwing up and looking on the other side of the sideline for them to bail you out. And if that were to happen, let's say rain's not a huge detriment in this game, and Arkansas's offense is able to operate, it could be the game where you get pressed a little bit, and you do have to trade points a little bit more. That would concern me if they get in that kind of game script. We'll get back to the video 1 second. Do me one quick favor, look down, make sure you're subscribed. Most of you are. If you're not, please do so. It's the way we keep the channel free, we keep the videos coming, and we get to do college football year-round as God intended. All right, as promised, back to the video.
Did you say over 1.5 quarterbacks in the game for Auburn?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, 2 I could see. Just kind of wondering if there was a third that would even be an option there for you to discuss and talk about. I don't think we see Deuce Knight in this game. I think you may see him in games later in the season, though. If the game were to go the way that you just laid it out, here's my problem. You want to get in a track meet with this Arkansas offense and the way they've played the last 2 weeks? because A&M defense pretty good, and they essentially had their way with that group. So if your defense is having a letdown day, and that's how the offense has to pick itself up, and against a defense that they should be able to move the football against, that's the offense that you want to go toe-to-toe with, that when your defense is not having a good day. I just don't think that style game is advantageous for Auburn here. I would go back to almost hoping that the weather's a little bit of a problem. The reason I wouldn't is that you're going to have a freshman center who, by the way, 17 years old. You can start that narrative now. We can say that 57 times a game if we want. And a wet ball. He had some errant snaps a week ago. If you are playing more than one quarterback, the cadence becomes a little bit different. That verbiage is always different. It's never exactly the same. Just the rhythm and the feel of it, it changes. It does. That complicates things at the line of scrimmage. So I almost think about some of those things, Josh, and I immediately think, let's slow this thing down. Let's just get as much of it under control as we can. We don't want to use tempo. We don't want to go warp speed here, and we don't want to try to trade touchdowns with the team that is probably not going to fail at scoring touchdowns very often if our defense is not playing well. So while I can see parts of that going the way that you said, I don't know if Auburn wants to get into that style fight necessarily in this game.
Yeah, not preferable. I'm just saying if it is that way, I'm not just blindly leaning on my defense every week saying, all right, well, I guess I'll have to score 24 this week instead of 16. The other thing here, I mean, you and I were talking earlier today, third downs in this game. Third down in any game is a big deal. Third down in this one, probably red Sharpie circle.
Yeah, and Arkansas, I think, is fourth in the nation in third down conversions offensively, and actually having a Taylor Green who understands, not just can leave the pocket with speed, but he understands how to leave the pocket. He understands where the rush is coming from, how to elude to where it's going to lead to longer gains. He's just great at it. He's got a great knack for it, and obviously being a long strider, 2 steps and he's gone. He's past a defensive end or a defensive tackle. So the Auburn defense is better on third down, but they're atrocious third down offensively. And the Arkansas defense, not great on third down. So I don't know what's going to give here. When Auburn has the ball, if they were to get to a third down, something sort of has to give here. And I guess there either will be a conversion or a punt. Maybe they go for more fourth downs we're anticipating. But third downs should be monumental in this game for both teams, because it feels like Arkansas could continue those drives on third down and then maintain possession and sort of flip the script on Auburn, so to speak. And if Auburn gets a lot of third downs, can they keep the football? I mean, that would be the question, because it looks like Arkansas is not one that's going to take it back very often, and Auburn hadn't converted many of them.
I rolled with Arkansas in this game. I actually picked it Sunday night. It was one of my favorite picks. I don't love the weather forecast. Don't love it, but I'm going to ride with it. Did you lean either way in this thing?
I just think it's a bad spot for Auburn, honestly. I don't love the matchup, because I do like how DJ Durkin is designing his pressures to be able to get to the quarterback. If you watched that game last week, and we were talking about it during the game, he was forcing sort of side quick protection one direction or the other, and he was going to revert that pressure back inside whichever direction that you slid away from it, and it had success. It got to the quarterback. This is a quarterback that if you're not precise with your pressures and how you run them and how far you rush up the field, he's going to be able to make you pay. And I think that could be problematic. And you looked at even last week playing a little bit of a spy. You still have quarterbacks that think can run away from that. Not a lot of spy techniques have been successful against Taylor Green. Catch and run has been big for Auburn. And I think they're underrated at running back. I think they have 2 hammers at tailback that can get downhill in a hurry. And I am wary of this Auburn defense where they are right now. The amount of snaps they play, playing a lot of younger guys, and that helps. I just don't see the spark on offense. And maybe it is Ashton Daniels and he comes in and it's different. Maybe it is a terrible Arkansas defense, but I'm going to have to see more than a couple of checkdowns than I did last week to think that all of a sudden Auburn is just going to move the football on a consistent basis.
Yep.